And a lot of people like to look at him like, oh, well, he's a coward or, he's just weak. But, I think there's, a lot of like, Taoist wisdom that's going on in Yajirobe because it's like he doesn't really like to, resist. But it's kind of like go with the flow. He's a go with the flow kind of guy. Very, very tough,
Oh, absolutely. So
I
yeah,
feel like,
so I definitely think there's a parallel between the two characters, and it's just a shame that Yajirobe kind of reached that point in his character arc so much earlier than Gohan did. 'Cause Gohan got a lot of development,
yeah, and
in
I
both
don't know why
in
that
all the
is.
sagas.
I guess that just happened with all the characters, that weren't Saiyans really. It's like they all kind of got put on the sidelines. It's a real shame.
Oh, absolutely. There could have been so much more variety in Dragon Ball's fight scenes, like especially how Yajirobe used his sword. Like that was his primary weapon, and
Exactly. And as we know, like, swords do scale into Dragon Ball combat,
oh,
because
absolutely,
Trunks uses his sword. He
yeah.
kills Mecha Frieza, and as we know, Mecha Frieza is, more powerful than Perfect Frieza or
That's right.
Frieza in
Um,
his true form.
so let's be careful. This video doesn't turn into Mecha Frieza versus Yajirobe video, because I think that's a video for a separate time.
Yeah, like I feel like you could write a dozen YouTube videos about a potential Yajirobe Frieza fight scene. You know,
But we're not going to focus on that today. Instead, let's talk about how what would have happened if Yajirobe had to take Krillin's place during the Cell Saga specifically.
during
Uh,
the Cell Saga. So, what are the major parts of the Cell Saga? Like each saga has a couple like little sub sections to it. So, what are the main ones for the Cell Saga?
well, you've got Imperfect Cell, starting things off, uh, and then you have um, the Semi-Perfect Saga, which is all about Trunks and Vegeta, and then you have Perfect Cell, which is all about Goku and Gohan. So let's talk about Krillin's involvement in those sagas, though, because his main involvement's in the Imperfect Cell saga, right? Where uh, where he's helping people escape from Imperfect Cell, and then he gets killed. So everything he does from that point on will simply replace with Yajirobe. So uh, instead of Krillin being at Master Roshi's island with Tien and Yamcha, let's just put Yajirobe there. So they're there, they're chilling, they're just kind of watching the fight between Piccolo and Cell. And Bulma shows up with the android self-destruct button, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
very important.
yeah, so normally Krillin goes over there and he ends up crushing the detonator because he's
Because
starting to
he's
have feelings.
crushing on Android 18.
That's right. That's right. He is, Mike. So, what would happen if Yajirobe was placed into those circumstances?
So, a lot of people might think, oh, well, the 17 Krillin romance would just kind of like not happen. But here's what I think. What really draws Android 18 to Krillin? I think it's that sensitivity, that kindness, and that sense of mercy. And what do we know about Yajirobe? Mostly, even though he's willing to take action, he's kind of a pacifist. He's a really chill guy. Really kind of has a gentle spirit, and I really feel like those same qualities that Android 18 found so appealing in Krillin. You know, maybe she would also find in our friend Yajirobe.
I think you're right, Mike. I think you're absolutely right. Um, so yeah, and I'm sure we can both agree that if placed in the same circumstance, Yajirobe would have also destroyed the bug.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
So
Which could not be said about some other characters. Master Roshi? Would he have destroyed the button? Would he have pressed that button? It's hard to say. A lot of people might say, "Oh well, obviously, his pervertedness, would keep him from killing such a beautiful woman." But at the same time, we know that Master Roshi is willing to look past that. Willing to take action and really willing to make hard decisions, as we've seen him do before.
I think you're completely right on that front. So, obviously Yajirobe is the only one of the human characters that would have made the same decision as Krillin. So what about after that, though? Because, Krillin, he crushed that button, right? He smashed that fucking button. But he had to back it up. Right? Now it's his job to protect Android 18 there. And as I think we all know, didn't really go very well for him. So, if we replace Yajirobe in that situation, though, remember how we said sword scale, right?
Yeah.
So Yajirobe with the sword, he might have been able to defend Android 17, but I don't think we can really theory craft that fight too much. So let's just assume that, like before, Cell does in fact absorb Android 18. So if that happens, you have to keep in mind, if that happens, then we're going right to the Cell games, right? Like it's not gonna get delayed at all. Trunks is gonna fight, he's gonna lose. We're right on our path to the Cell games. So what does Krillin do during the Cell games, do you think?
He just kind of, he fights some of those, some Cell clones, the little cells. If I remember right, holds his own.
You're right. Like
there's a very emotional moment.
Next to Vegeta, Krillin definitely fared the best against those Cellites. But you're forgetting one key component of Krillin's participation in the Cell games. He was the sensu bean holder.
Oh, you're totally right.
Yeah. So Yajirobe would have to take over that position too. He'd be the new sensu bean.
And that's very important because senzu beans play a significant role in Dragon Ball because they allow our Saiyan friends to have Zenkais very quickly.
That's correct.
Because as we know, when Saiyans are brought to the verge of death in battle, when they recover, they become exponentially more powerful.
You're right.
And we saw Vegeta take advantage of this. Vegeta and Goku both take advantage of this several times during the Frieza saga. With Vegeta, after one battle, even saying that he was on the verge of becoming a Super Saiyan himself. Though, as we would later see, he didn't quite understand the ramifications of just what a Super Saiyan actually is.
You're absolutely right. And so obviously Goku getting his big Zenkai boost from the Cell fight, which would of course later play a role in the Buu saga, that would still happen. That would play out as normal. I'm sure Yajirobe would be completely fine with giving Goku a sensu bean. But don't forget, Goku told Krillin to give a sensu bean to Cell after their fight. Now, Krillin, he's an experienced fighter. He's been around, but Yajirobe's been around for hundreds of years, right? Like he's an experienced swordsman. He's been around, so his strategies is going to be a little more refined than Krillin, right?
Yeah, and I feel like
he understands strategy. He wouldn't give a sensu bean to Cell. He'd never.
Krillin has a lot of loyalty to Goku, and is like Goku in that he is, he's always in it for the fight, Whereas Yajirobe isn't so much. He's much more, trying to maintain peace and balance in his own life.
Right.
And so I really feel like, he wouldn't necessarily be comfortable with that risk,
It's true. And you have to keep in mind, Cell goes against everything that Yajirobe stands for. He's a creature of peace. He's a creature of peace, he's a creature of individuality, and, Cell, he's all about absorbing people and causing destruction. Like, Even Yajirobe is not going to listen to Goku. Like in the face of that, it's not going to happen. So Cell doesn't get his Zenkai boost, right? He doesn't get that. He's still worn out from his fight with Goku. So we can assume that the fight with Gohan would go better for the Z fighters.
Absolutely. Because as we know, Cell having Saiyan cells most likely also would have a Zenkai.
That's correct. So if Cell's weaker during his fight with Gohan, I think it's entirely possible that Gohan would be able to defeat him without having to go Super Saiyan 2. That's an entire part of the story we might not see.
Exactly. And so what that might mean is, without Goku going Super Saiyan 2, we're left with, with no, Super Saiyan really being the highest level of achievement that Saiyans have, that the Saiyans really know about, for quite some time. Other than Ascended Saiyan, which, as we know, from Trunks' fight with well, it has its problems. It's definitely not how it's cracked up to be. It definitely doesn't compete with Super Saiyan 2.
Absolutely.
But if they don't go Super Saiyan 2, if they don't know about that transformation, then that really leaves them at a huge disadvantage. Because then Goku, in Otherworld, doesn't go Super Saiyan 3, and really just can't compete with Boo when Boo shows up.
Oh, absolutely. So I think we'd have to go through an entire different arc in the Buu saga where they learn about Super Saiyan 2. Maybe Goku learns it, maybe Vegeta learns it. Maybe Gohan not achieving Super Saiyan 2 during the Cell saga doesn't feel complete, doesn't feel like he's able to retire. Maybe he keeps on fighting and training.
Either that, or Vegeta actually becomes the one to discover the Super Saiyan 2 transformation. I think that would be very interesting. The Vegeta actually pull ahead of Goku. Just to see how those arcs play out,
Absolutely. So already with this small effect, we're seeing this gigantic butterfly effect in progress. Just inserting Yajirobe in Krillin's place actually changes things down the line. We can't even get into the Buu saga. How many changes there would be? It would be insane. And
yeah, the Buu saga, that just would be so different,
Absolutely. We could
knows
even
how
get
that
into
would've played out.
GT. We could get into Super. It would be crazy. So let's stick with the Cell saga for now.
I'm just kidding, guys. I actually really like GT.
So let's just keep it on the Cell saga. And pretty much the only other place where Krillin was involved after the Cell games concluded would be the start of his romance with Android 18.
We've already talked about that.
You're right, but here's my issue with that, though. Remember how Krillin had the opportunity to make a Dragon Ball wish?
Yeah.
And he wanted to make the androids human, but the dragon wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
Once again, Yajirobe is far more experienced than Krillin is. I'm sure, he has a lot more experience with the Dragon Balls and making wishes. I'm sure he could have found a way to reword it, rework things around, and get whatever he wanted.
Because as we know, the dragon is very sensitive to wording.
Absolutely.
You can, even though the dragon might say something isn't within his power, maybe you can just word things a little bit differently.
We even saw that during the Frieza saga, where they had to specifically phrase how to bring back all of the Namekians. And once they got the phrasing right, the dragon was able to bring back people stronger than himself, too.
Exactly, because as we know, Frieza was actually stronger than the dragon.
That's correct. So not only would we end up with Yajirobe Yajirobe playing a more critical part in the Cell games, he would have ended up with Android 18, who might even end up being human.
Well, it's important to note that the androids always were human. They're cyborgs, not actually androids. Um, like the English dub always says androids, and it has a ring to it, but technically in the manga and according to the canon, they were once human. So that makes sense for later, and that's why Android 18 and Krillin are later able to have a child named Marin.
Don't you mean Android 18 and Yajirobe were able to have a kid?
Oh yeah, that's how that would have turned out. Is it actually would have been Yajirobe's child? Of course, Marin, to be honest, kind of looks more like Yajirobe anyway.
It's true. I mean,
Completely
maybe the
honest.
creators were wondering
maybe
this
that's a
too when they
subtle
came up with
thing.
the character designs.
It's subtle, for true fans, right?
You
Two
know,
and two
just,
together.
right. So I think that's where he would have ended up. Super Saiyan 2 hasn't been discovered. Yajirobe's with Android 18, and Krillin's dead again.
This has been another Toon Theory with your boys here at Spookemtoon Theory.
Once again, it is me, Spookemtoontheory, aka Dave.
And this is Big Hairy Dongles. And we're coming, aka Mike, and we're coming at you.
It's true. So we're just going to take a minute of your time. Just wanted to know that if you could like and subscribe, it really helps us a lot. You could also like and subscribe some of Mike's videos over his channel. It'll be linked in the description.
It's Big Hairy Dongers 1132 is my YouTube channel.
So we would also like to announce that we're going to be taking part in a professional Nidhogg tournament coming up. It's going to be 8 teams of 4, and we're actually looking for 2 more members to join us. It's going to be mid-December this year, and if you are interested, we have a page for our team. Our team is called Spooky Toon Swords, and it's going to be open qualifications, so just show up, and we'll try you in a 1v1 against me, then a 1v1 against Dongers, and whoever wins the most matches, you'll be allowed to join the team, and you'll be able to compete for the prize money.
Good time, just some swords. Fun game.
So until then, it's been Spooky Toon Theory, and stay spooked, folks.
Stay spooked. Fucking brutal.
I'll edit that part out.
No, we're not editing that part out.